Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and today our guest is Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you very much for having me on. As always, I'm in my office.
It's my pleasure, and yes, we can see that you're in the office and you're using new computer, from what we understand.
Correct.
Let's
Yeah.
hope that all this combination will work. And we are talking about World Cup. And Ken, tell me honestly, could you predict that the four semifinalists will be this two gentlemen from Uzbekistan and Yesipenko and Sindarov? Well, Sindarov is from Afghanistan, and who else is there? It
Well, the
just
two Uzbekistanis are facing each other,
yeah,
Yakovlev and Sindarov, and they drew their game today.
yes.
And then it's Wei Yi, born in Eastern
It
China.
was very interesting, very sharp game between him with white pieces and Yesipenko with black, and it was very difficult to predict actually which way to go. At some point, I thought that black had better position, but white definitely had chances, and Wei Yi played quite well. But let's talk about the previous rounds because
Right. Yeah.
they are nevertheless very, very interesting and
hmm
see what's happened.
That is quite correct. So I have following the fortunes of our favorites in the previous round. So poor Sam Shankland lost in the second round of rapid play against Esipenko, who's from Southwest Russia. Are you seeing the chessboard?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let's see. Um, let's see. It says I'm sharing. Let me just go back here again. Um, let's see. Okay, well, let's just wait a second here. So this was he was white against Esipenko and played the English Open.
But I don't see the board yet.
Okay, I don't see the board yet. All right, let me try unsharing and reshare again.
Yeah. All I can see is your whiteboard behind you.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. Let's wait. Where is okay? Share screen. Okay, something else. Oh, let's see. Entire screen and share. Now, maybe my new PC is blocking something here, but let's see. Okay.
No, I don't see the board yet.
Okay, I'm on the board. If not, I'll try sharing a tab.
Okay.
Now working?
No.
Not yet. I see. Okay. All right. So let me. All right. So let me try sharing again. All right. Let's just try the tab. Okay. So now, yeah, it definitely says I'm sharing the file to StreamYard.com.
I don't see anything.
Let's see. Is it being blocked by anything on my machine? No. Let's see. Okay, well, I'll try to fill it with a verbal description of what.
Okay, I can see the board now.
Okay, it's just being very slow. Okay, so I'll have to do this in the ramp up then next time. Probably slower because I changed machines. So we have a Queen's Gambit type, transposed in Queen's Gambit type structure, and white goes for a slow build up. And but black gets active play. And now we have symmetrical situations. So the question is who can put their pieces on better squares? And the answer over the next 10 moves is Esipenko. So I think black's bishop is better on b7. White never really develops central files pressure. Advances the pawn to e4, but it actually creates a target for black. So white has, two rooks, looks good, but black actually is very well organized. White has to do something about the e pawn, so white defends it. And now Black is beginning a little bit of a guerrilla attack on white's king, and white's bishop on e3 is uncomfortable. So it fades back, but black has definitely gained territory, and the chess engine in the upper right-hand corner reflects this. So there's nothing structurally wrong with white's position. White just has to endure an attack. But we're going to come up to what, for me, is the most mysterious move in the tournament after white trades knights. So, mind you, it's a rapid game. They're down to 7 minutes. But I really don't understand white's next move, unless the idea was that white wanted to play f4. So white plays king f1, which strikes me as giving black a tempo against white's h-pawn in some possible positions after black's queen goes back to b8. So, okay, so black relocates the knight before white can kick it. And then f3. Okay, so white was preparing bishop f2, kicking out black's queen. But meanwhile, black can cut and thrust, and now has clamped down the knight. And now, okay, black's queen goes to b8, or at least there isn't a latent threat against h2. I just looked to ask, what is white's king doing on f1? And moves like rook b2. Okay, we had to move the rook somewhere. But white's rooks are not so well placed. So Shanklin begins activity. However, the engine accurately gives black a fairly substantial advantage. So activity wasn't what the doctor called for. And now Shanklin starts to get outplayed in the tactics as well. Okay, so there is where white had to spend the tempo because of the threat against the h2 pawn. And that gives black more time to probe. And now black will take over the a file. White really cannot challenge it. And this was one luxury too much. Now black pounces, and even though it looks like white might be able to win a pawn, attacking two black pawns now, it's not going to prove that way. It's black who wins a pawn, and white has more trouble getting it back than you might realize. Okay, so rook e3, not possible, because this, believe it or not, is an amazing skewer of two rooks.
Yeah. It's a mother of all skewers.
Yes, that is. It's you never see things teed up that way. And if white plays queen c1, then black renews the skewer, this time for real. So that's one beautiful motif, but we're going to come to an even more surprising motif. So Shanklin played queen c1 first, and now queen d6, active move. And if queen takes e3, then rook b3 is going to win material. So white had to retreat. Okay, well, still can hope to get the pawn back. So let's do it. White plays rook d1. Now we're going to capture on e3. Okay, so black goes here. White spends time playing actively, but was down to a minute and a half. So here. Now white captures on e3.
Finally.
And black could have played more aggressively with rook b3, making an outside pass pawn. But this, of course, is a really good-looking move, right? It's doubling up, trying to play rook b1. And now rook b1 check, the moment of truth, with white having been down to 10 seconds before, but having been down to 30 seconds before getting the 10-second increment. So where do you put your king? Okay, you can tell that king f2, rook b2 check loses. If you play king g2, black plays rook b2 check, and now your king is going to wander. Surely it's getting mated, right, out here? Amazingly, it's not. Okay, black can go here and make the king wander to f4, but there's no follow-up. When I first saw this position, I thought h5 check and queen g6 mate, but white's rook can capture the pawn on h.
Yeah, exactly.
So it turns out that this is safe, but white had planned to play king e2. However, it's fatal, because after this, the move you're counting on rook d2. Problem is black just takes it. White recaptures with the queen, rook b2 skewers the queen, and if white captures with the king, then queen d8 check or queen d6 check, and it's going to be mate on d1. So unfortunate end for Sam there. Now, let me actually see if I can do something. If I can paste Aragai's game into the same tab so I don't have to unshare. Let's see if chess.com lets you do that. It does. Okay, so this now is how Levon Aronian met his end in the classical chess. I don't think we covered this last time, right?
No.
Okay. So this features one of the moves of the tournament. So Aragaisi is black, and we get actually a classical Joka piano. So with the usual Joka move order, but white plays d3. So now instead of the d4 move in the classical, so now we play this. These lines are still being played in the majority of e4 games, and you need to actually study a lot to be able to feint and jab and thrust and play for little advantages. Like, is it to white's advantage to play d4 in this position? Well, black is certainly very solid. We maneuver some more. White has the center, but black can challenge it. It is worth seeing why black. Oh no, it's just defensive. What am I doing? Okay, so black challenges it. 98. Okay, so white has a little more space, but white's d4 pawn is a little annoying, especially if black gets a knight to e6 or is able to pry open access to white's d4 pawn this way. Okay. And the engine actually gives black a tiny pull. Not a significant one, but certainly black can claim to have equalized. And black's knights are good enough. White's two bishops bite on granite, as the saying goes. Right, so now the theme for the second half of this game is perceiving danger versus thinking that you should be able to get an advantage. So I claim here that white actually has the worst pawn structure because the d4 pawn is isolated and white is not going to advance the kingside majority anytime soon. Instead, black has pressure on two open files against it. White's rook on e1 is right now blocked by those two bishops that white is hoping to do things with. So, okay, the bishops redeploy. But, black's knights are also doing useful things. Now, again, sense of danger here. You should be certainly thinking one thing is dangerous. Black could play rook takes e3 and then bishop takes d4 crashing through. But white can play bishop h7 check and rook takes d4, getting rid of the threat. So it doesn't work now, but it's hanging in the air. Okay. Well, white very sensibly tries to make cubby holes for his pieces. But here now is where white starts stepping into trouble. This looks good. We're setting up a latent threat of capturing on g5, not latent threat, and coming into h7. But actually, this is the first of three junctures where there's much more danger for white in the position here than either person was aware of. So it turns out that queen h7 check is an empty threat and black can crash through. Okay, now we're putting pressure on e3 and d4. We're possibly going to play queen h3, and queen h7 check is an empty threat. Right? White can't even play a piece to g6. So, but it's very hard to see that black has winning compensation for this piece because, well, okay, the queen is coming into h3, so maybe we shouldn't have given check. But if you go bishop f2, then I was going to play queen h3, but actually capturing on e1 and playing queen g4. Oops, what did I do wrong here? Wants you to capture with the bishop. What's wrong with capturing with the rook? Wow, this is really subtle. Then queen h3. Okay, and white is actually schnockered in this position because if bishop e3 Well, I was going to say black plays rook takes e3, but that's not what the computer's saying to do. Computer's just pointing out that even though white's a piece ahead, the bishop on b1 is only threatening this empty check on h7 that doesn't go anywhere. And white is being ganged up upon. G3 will fall and white will be mated. So, that's very hard to see even in a classical game. So I won't blame Erigaisi for missing that one. That's really computer now. So Erigaisi plays a very sensible move, G6. So white castles away. Okay. And now white gets to reorganize a bit, preserving the two bishops, attacking something, now challenging black's knight, and this comes off the board. White's bishop is back where it was, but at least there's not something else that's attacking it. So black just consolidates, but here again is white is let down by the sense of danger. You think white's very solid, two nice bishops. White is, pawns that black's not doing a pawn storm against white's kings. White's pawns look solid. Even rook takes e3 isn't much of a worry in this position. So you think you can play here. But black has a surprising combination, because I'm sure that Aronian saw this, okay, and saw that if white captures, then rook takes e3 and queen f4 check. But the reason why you would reject bishop takes h2 is that white can capture the knight. Okay, well, black moves the bishop. All right, we trade rooks. And now white's a piece ahead, but the question is, where is white's bishop on g5 going? If it just goes back, say, to c1, now we are going to invade, and it's checkmate down here.
Well,
so again, even though this was a classical game, both players overlooked this chance. And as I said, it's a case of not having the Petrosian sense of danger.
Oh, about Petrosian, he played at least 3 matches for the World Championship, and he had second Grandmaster Boleslavsky. So whenever the game was adjourned, at that time there were adjourned games after 40 moves. So analysis would always start with a question by Petrosian: do I have a draw? That was his question number 1. Then they would start to analyze move by move. Incredible feel of danger.
Yes, so that would have been a great question for Aronian to ask, even though he was white,
Exactly.
and perceived that he should be the one pushing with 2 bishops against black knights. Okay, so Erigaisi didn't see that, but it's going to be third time lucky. Okay, bishop g1, nice, safe, solid square. What danger could there be here? All right, so we double up, but we're going to challenge those. And actually here, this is the real move that shows that Aronian did not think he was in any danger. Taking the time to play a3. Are we contemplating b4, or are we making a hole for the bishop on a2? No, we're not doing that. I don't know. It's a harmonious move. But, all right, so black now is maybe thinking of a pawn storm, maybe thinking of putting the king on h6, who knows. But white now decides to, well, I don't know what that move is for either. Now white decides that it's time to challenge black's rook. So this is where Aronian thought there was some danger. So rook e1. Oh yes, there's danger. Knight h3 is on the board. And so now if white captures the knight, then rook takes e1, queen takes e1, queen takes f3 mate. And if white falls back, then black just captures here. We're threatening mate, so we don't have time to take on e6. And if queen takes, or then rook takes e3 and queen takes h2 mate. So seeing nothing to do, Aronian resigned. Sudden end. like a quarterback throwing an interception to end the game.
You see, the problem with these two classical games is that whoever plays first game with white either has to agree to a quick draw and try to draw a second game and then go into blitz and rapid games and all that stuff, or they are trying hard to press with white and win, and this way to guarantee themselves going to the next round. But this is the problem now, that is everybody is booked so well with all the latest theory. So white has to accept the incredible amount of risk trying to win the first game with white. And in this tournament, we could see a lot of players who are playing first game with white left out. They
Mhm.
lost their game, and once you lose with white, there is very little you can do about it.
Yeah. So we'll see another example of what you've just said, but the in the tie breaks itself. Okay, so this is how Arjun Erigaisi, the last home country favorite Indian player, um, who that's his rapid rating showing, I guess. He has been near 2,800. He
Mhm.
is considered the best player in the world who was not qualified for anything major yet. And this was his chance to get into the candidates. But as he posted on Twitter after this game, it was a heartbreak. So he's white. The way he plays the Petrov, good Russian defense, hard to crack. Okay. So it's a question of whether white can develop anything, again, with a few extra tempos at the cost of a slightly compromised pawn structure. So white, of course, goes for attack. And now this is an obvious trap. If white takes on d5, then bishop takes h2, wins for black. But white can fall back. And now c4 is actually a very important move in this position. Without it, white actually would then capture on c5 and have a definite initiative. Okay. So, all right. So this is an intermezzo. Black couldn't capture white's bishop because queen f6 would be mate. But queen f6 is not mate because now black can play bishop f8. So white just retreats. And now black is able to oppose queens and get a pawn. So white has a little initiative still here. But the pawn structure still favors black in certain ways, even with g4 as a potential weakness. And this will play out in the game. So from here on, completely equal position, Wade masterfully outplays Shankland. Okay, Shankland's probing, but you sort of have chess sense to realize that white cannot, d5 is vulnerable, but we've got it solidly defended, and white cannot add anything to the attackers of it. So white is trying to regroup a different way and play f4 aggressively, but this now becomes definite fortress. I like the formation of white's rooks and bishops there. And rooks come off the board. Okay, so what is white doing? Is white really playing a5 in this position? Well, white had to guard something. That's where the pawn structure deficiency is coming into play. Okay, and white, I don't know if white had to guard h4 there, but probably did, actually. All right, so now black has a fairly substantial advantage. In fact, the computer actually thought black would even better to ignore white and play bishop f5 because taking on h6 would be weaker for white. But, can't criticize this. Another problem probe of the white pawn that's hard to guard. And in fact, Shankland decided to shed the pawn for counterplay, getting against black's pawn, and maybe misjudged this position. Now I do have to say that white's pawn on d4 is very pleasant looking. Actually, it's probably, I should say, it's black who misjudged the position because white is completely fine here. But okie doke. Actually, without making any perceptible error, it's black for choice. Of course, the players are under 4 minutes now, and black is able to get activity. White has this pawn, so white sheds a pawn to get activity, and this, should work, but it was just one bad move. So white had to play rook b2 and then to force back to play d6 and then play d6 with bishop b7 takes a6 coming. But it's very hard to see things in positions like this. So black just closes white off. Now this happens. So why isn't it as good? So this is what white should have done with black's bishop on d3. Why did it matter that black got the bishop to f5? Well, so, okay, so let's see. So why can't white play bishop b7 here? Bishop b7. Okay, let's see. So bishop b7. Oh, black has rook h3 check. But what's that for? We'll just go back here. No, we'll go here. Oh no, you're going to get mated. Ah, okay. So that's the problem. Actually, maybe the whole point is that the tempo bishop f5 set up where black can threaten checkmate if when white's king goes to f4. So white's king is now hung up. What happens if white goes here? All right, show me, computer. Oh, you just take it and rook to d3 mate. So the fault was by allowing black to get bishop f5 with tempo. White set himself up for checkmate threats. Okay, but black played bishop back to d3. So now we should be in business with bishop b7. So let's, we take. Oh, black's still a pawn ahead.
Yeah, but what would have some chances with a passed pawn?
Yeah. So instead, Shanklin played here. Now, this was white's last chance to get some counterplay. But again, it's very murky. Why is rook d5 effective in this position? Black does have to worry about a potential rook sack on b5, followed by pushing the a pawn. If black can't cover a7, then the rook pawn will get all the way to a8, supported by the bishop. But anyway, Shanklin played here, and now apparently it is over. Sorry, Erigaisi played there. And black has now broken through with a pawn and white's pawns fall. And this is a winning bishop ending. And so it's winning because white's bishop cannot stop black's pawns forever. And it's over. Erigaisi actually played all the way to mate.
Yeah, it's really dreadful to see how this grandmasters on such a high level missing opportunities and not playing thoughtful defense, and the openings are at some point. There are a lot of new lines were tried, for example, like e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, something like h3, for example, was tried in a few games. And I don't know how white can have an advantage playing h3 on the third move, but look, or maybe it's just
close on one happy moment for the U.S. team.
Okay.
This is how Daniel Dubov met his end after deliberately going in for the rapid and blitz tiebreakers and all of the matches.
That was his strategy for this tournament,
Yeah. So anyway, so let's see. So black had to cede in exchange or get the pawn, but here, after a little bit of preparation, Shanklin plays a very nice combination to finish this game.
f6.
F6, making a queen, and Dubov resigned. Yep. So
that was indeed a very happy moment.
Nice motif to know.
Yeah. So, well, we still have the end of the tournament inside, and
semifinals and finals.
Yeah, next week we will be very happy to show you semifinal.
3 will be in the candidates, 1 will be left out, and I do not want to venture a prediction as to who. It's been too unpredictable.
No, it's impossible. It's
Yeah.
impossible. And let's watch together next week what will happen. Thank you very much, Ken, for
Thank
today's
you.
program. And we'll see you next week, same
Yeah.
place, same time. Bye bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
All right.